The Cracked Mirror: How German Expressionist Cinema Foretold the Rise of Hitler. Imagine the year is 1920. The Great War has just ended. The German Empire has collapsed. The streets of Berlin are filled with wounded and humiliated people. Inflation is so out of control that people carry money in wheelbarrows. In this atmosphere, a group of filmmakers with a painterly, almost feverish vision decide to build their stories not on natural locations, but on crooked, impossible sets. The result is German Expressionist cinema, a cinema where walls lean at odd angles, shadows walk on their own, and characters constantly drift between sanity and madness. Today, we know that these films were not just strange art. They were among the most prophetic cultural warnings of the 20th century. Siegfried Kracauer, the philosopher and film critic, demonstrated in his book From Caligari to Hitler that if anyone had taken these films seriously in the 1920s, the rise of Nazism could have been predicted like a Hollywood screenplay. But how exactly were these warnings hidden inside the films? 1. Dr. Caligari, tyranny dressed as a healer. Let us start with the most important one, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, 1920. In this film, a mysterious doctor with round glasses and a costume resembling an old-fashioned magician displays a somnambulist named Cesare, kept inside a coffin-like cabinet. Cesare wanders the village streets and commits murder on Caligari's command. The people do not resist. They stand and watch with a mixture of horror and fascination. Now change the picture. The year is 1933. Hitler is giving a speech. The crowd is so hypnotized that they seem like sleepwalkers obeying a master. Kracauer believed that Caligari was exactly the mad leader that German society unconsciously desired. Someone who steals the collective will and drives people toward crime. The film was warning. Beware of physicians who promise healing through hypnosis. 2. Metropolis: When Machine and Mass Become One. Fritz Lang's Metropolis, 1927, builds a futuristic city where workers live underground like gears in a machine, while capitalists enjoy hanging gardens above. But the truly frightening point is this: the workers do not rebel. The upper class feels no guilt. Everyone is waiting for a great mediator or savior. At the end of the film, a character named Freder acts as a mediator and declares, "The heart must mediate between the head and the hands." What the film warned against was that German society was thirsty for a redeemer. If a true redeemer does not come, a dictator will take his place. Hitler became exactly that false mediator, uniting the classes with the promise of a new order. 3. The Weary Death and the Normalization of Violence. In another Lang film, Destiny, also known as The Weary Death, 1921, Death himself appears as a character and plays a terrifying game with human beings. In this world, death has become so ordinary that no one cries about it anymore. Expressionist cinema kept repeating the same message. Moral boundaries are melting away. Later, the Nazis normalized violence to such a degree that mass killing required no emotional response. The Expressionist films were rehearsing the moment when ethics would be suspended. 4. Crooked architecture as a crooked mind. The fascinating detail about these films is that the external world mirrors the internal one. In Caligari, walls are bent, windows look like squinting eyes, stairs lead to nowhere. This surreal architecture tells us that the main character, and by extension German society, had lost its mental map. When a system of meaning collapses, any orderly madness can replace reason. Hitler later built his new order, exactly with crooked walls and insane laws. Why were these warnings and not causes? We must be clear. These films did not create Nazism. They were a mirror reflecting what was happening in the collective unconscious. Weimar Germany was a country that had lost its self-respect in war, was afraid of chaos, and longed for a strong man. Expressionist cinema projected that suppressed desire onto the screen and shouted, "This will not end well." But the people either did not see it, did not want to see it, or turned the viewing of horror into a substitute for confronting it. Krakauer ends his book with the famous line, "The madman Caligari conquered the world." The difference is that at the end of the film, Caligari is locked in an asylum. In real history, Caligari became the chancellor, in place of a conclusion. When we watch these silent black and white films today, with their exaggerated acting, we might smile. We might tell ourselves, these are just old horror movies, but their warning is still fresh. A society that hands its power to a charismatic and unaccountable leader. A society that turns violence into a spectacle. A society whose mental architecture becomes crooked. That is exactly where the next Caligari waits, in the shadows. Perhaps the job of cinema is not to predict the future, but to remind us of this one truth. The madman does not stay locked inside his cabinet forever.